Once we got up into the boardroom, there were about 3 Colombians with machine guns stood at the door as well. And then Lucho just said, right, what happened to the 3,000 kilo? But I didn't realise it was a bit of an ambush for me. You don't know how lucky we are coming out of that room.
Where did you meet Curtis?
In Strangeways. Curtis was Cat A at the time. The day was the 1st of April 1993. I decided that I was going to escape, and then we started working all over Europe really. We knew quite a lot of Colombians, but then I got arranged to meet the head of the Cali cartel. 500 kilo, 1,000 kilo, 2,000 kilo. The biggest was 3,000. It's just a business. Because I was on the run really, I didn't have a choice. So much could go wrong. Yeah. And on one occasion we did send a boat out, but it got intercepted, and that's when they came for us. Flashbangs went off, came in and got me.
Was there any point in time where you think that you could have lost your life? Steve, welcome to the show, mate.
Great, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, nice one for making the effort. And we've been speaking for a while now, and I'm glad you're down to sunny Bournemouth. Let's roll all the way back. How did you become Europe's biggest drug lord?
Trial and error, a little bit. It started off years ago as a kid. I came up from Manchester in a bit of a poor area called Newton Heath. And early on, come from a big family, problems in the family, 9 kids and mum and dad. My mum was always, she had Parkinson's, which leads me into what I'm doing now in a little way. But she had Parkinson's and we never had any money, but she used to like a drink as well, but she was always on these heavy medication for Parkinson's. And she used to send us shopping, get us to go to the supermarket. But she used to give us like a couple of quid and give us a list for a tenner. And if we didn't come back with a list, we got battered. So me and my two younger brother and sister, we used to go do the shoplifting and put it in the basket. And I'm talking about when I was 7, 8, doing this. Put it in the basket and take it home. And then eventually we learned that if we put all of it in the basket, we can keep the money as well. So it led to that. Yeah. Then little things like that. I burgled my own primary school. So 9 years old, did a thing. I got caught for it, but eventually, but burgled it on my own and got the little collection box and went and bought a big Toblerone. And the local police found out that somebody bought a little Toblerone and it was me. And then, because in them days, everybody knew, the local Bobby knew everybody, didn't they? Yeah. And that led on to just other things. Started stealing cars. Stole the Lord Mayor's car and in Oldham, and we'd been to a nightclub in Moss Side called the Reno. I think I was, 13, and this was a proper old blues, proper dive and everything. It's all shut down now, but like I was 13 and I met this young Pakistani lad in Manchester. I was in a stolen car and he took me to Moss Side, which I'd never been at that age. And went round there, and then we came out of there, stole a car to get home. Mark 1 Corsair, to be. Showed you how long ago it was. Went up into the place in Saddleworth Moor up there on the hills. Got tired and fell asleep and woke up with 4 coppers stood round the car. The old sergeant dragged us out, kicked us all the way down the hill to the police station at the bottom. Kept us in there for a bit. Put about 12 cars, so I got 12 TICs on top of me. And then my dad came, he beat me up in the police station, and then got home, my mum beat me up and sent us to bed for a bit. And then eventually I got 3 months DC, which came under that short, sharp shock system years ago. It was brutal, actually. But then sort of levelled myself out a bit for a few years. Ended up with a couple of businesses, a bike shop and stuff like that. And eventually got into travelling to Holland, did my first smuggle in 1980, 81 or 82, I think it was, which was an absolute disaster, but it was a joke really. There was 3 of us. I got the money to do the smuggle. 3 of us went down in the car broke down, so we ended up dumping that. Ended up going to Felixstowe, got them 3-day passports that you used to get with a bit of cardboard on it. But all 3 of us got it together, so there's no point me trying to be away from the thing. Went over to Amsterdam, Went in quite a few coffee shops, but none of them would serve us up. They wouldn't give us anything. Got chased out of a few of them, literally with guns, one of them, and ended up with the Hells Angels in Amsterdam. They sold us a kilo. That's all we bought, a big slab, one piece it was.
Of
Moroccan.
Yeah.
And smuggled it back, smoked a bit on the boat going back. All of us fell asleep. By the time we woke up, the cleaners that woke us up, the boat had disembarked, everything, and we got outside and there was a copper stood there. And the lad who had it on him, he had it strapped to him, but it was a good size. And we had to climb over the barrier and he couldn't get over. As he tried to jump over, his leg caught on the side. So the copper had to help him over the barrier. Well, we got through and got back and sold it. Got about $5,000 for it. I went back, bought a couple more, and started realising that Europe was a place for me. So I sort of moved to Holland.
How old were you when you first did that smuggle?
1982, so 66 now. Work it out.
16?
No.
18?
No, 20 odd.
20?
22 or something like
okay.
that. It's a bit late going into it, I suppose. So once we'd done a bit of that, then was travelling around, I started picking up people from Switzerland and Germany who wanted to buy it. We'd take it there, take it all over Europe, get it into England as well. And eventually, you sort of, as in any business, people get to know you.
Yeah.
Then a big opportunity came up in the sort of the middle of the 80s to do a smuggle back into Europe from Ecuador. So it was like a big team effort. I think I was the second one to go. First lad got 22 kilo in his case and brought it back.
22 kilo in the case with nothing
else.
Nothing else?
Yeah. Nothing
of
else.
Moroccan?
No, cocaine.
Oh, cocaine, okay.
This is Ecuador.
Oh, so you've gone into Ecuador, okay.
Yeah.
How old, I just want to know this journey here. You started your journey on smuggling at sort of your early 20s, you back and forth, then infiltrating different parts of Europe. How old were you when you go, right, I want to go to South America?
34.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah.
So you had a good 10-year stint. Did you get nicked in that 10 years at all?
No.
So you had a good 10 years?
Good 10 years.
Yeah. And then...
But, no, I did get nicked for a motorbike.
Okay.
Stole a motorbike and, like an idiot, parked it up outside a motorbike shop and went in and bought a new helmet and came out and the police was waiting for us. So I had to try and run with a full-face helmet on. It's not very good. Didn't get very far.
So in that 10-year period, were you living in Holland?
Yeah.
So you just said, well, I'm staying in Holland?
I'm mostly in Holland, but you should come back a bit, but not much.
Okay.
Because that's where it was.
What was your lifestyle like for that 10-year period?
Very good. Very good. Had our own flats over there.
Were you partying? Were you just business minded? Or
later on, in about 86, 87, I think it was, when big club came open there called the Roxy. We used to go in there, and just when the ecstasy was starting as well. Before we was there before the ecstasy started, and then it sort of came in.
Yeah.
Sort of halfway through that, and some great parties in
I bet.
Crazy Holland places.
I bet. Were you in the Dam?
Yeah, I was in the Dam.
Yeah, okay.
Some of it I was in there. I played all over Holland.
Yeah.
Rotterdam, Den Haag, and then I think about 86, 87, an opportunity came up. I was just a mule.
Okay.
And I got 24 kilo back.
But by yourself?
Yeah.
In a suitcase?
Just in a suitcase, yeah. Kamikaze. So, but it was
from Ecuador.
From Ecuador, which was a military dictatorship at the time. But we had military putting it on for us. So we'd take it to the airport in a taxi in Quito, walk up to the thingy. But when I walked up, the 3-star general was stood behind waiting. So he followed it into the plane, made sure it was on the plane that side, and then we just had to take it off in the European side.
Oh, God.
And risk it.
Wow.
But it wasn't a big risk. It
wasn't a big risk that end if you've buttered them up and bunged them, but landing, that was the biggest risk, right?
Well, not really, no.
Was anyone buttered up here? Not here.
We didn't bring it here.
No, in Europe.
To Europe, yeah. But we at the time, had we got caught as a mule, I would have got 3 or 4 years. That was it.
And how much was that worth, that 24 key to you personally for that risk?
Well, I got 3 kilo.
Okay.
And at the time, it was about 18, 20 grand in Holland. But I had contacts in Switzerland, so I used to take it down there. You'd get like 60 grand for it down there.
Right, okay.
So it was a big market. So we had all the really posh Swiss people loving it because they'd never got it in that quality before, untouched, straight from Colombia. And
zero cut?
No, zero
really?
cut. Yeah. We never used to touch it.
Yeah.
Because it's just not worth it in those days. I don't think there's that many people cutting it at the time. Yeah. People used to get it pure. But that was it. And then we started doing other things, and I ended up getting caught in 1991 bringing cocaine from the Dutch Caribbean, from Bonaire and, them three little islands that they've got there, Curacao. And we got set up by police, undercover and all that. They changed everything. Everything they did was illegal technically, but I ended up getting nicked. I got 22 years for that.
You got 22 years?
Yeah.
So your early 30s, you gone South America.
Yeah.
How long were you working that flight for? Like how long were you back and forward into Europe?
All the time, for years. 3 years.
Like roughly how many years?
From, what was it, 87 was the first thing, I think. So from then till we got nipped, 91.
So you had a good, 4 years?
Well, no, I went back again because I escaped from prison. So
hold on a minute.
So escape from jail in between.
Mate, so I was trying to get my head around this. You were working in South America. What was happening in the Caribbean, off the islands there?
Well, it was the Dutch Antilles, wasn't it? So,
yeah. What was your involvement there? And why were you hovering around that area?
Well, there, what I was doing there, I was getting couriers to come over, and we had the Colombians who was working with at the time, and they was putting it in tins of ham or sewing it into suitcases and stuff like that. No big quantities, but it was regular.
Yeah.
And came on top once, and I had to run out of the airport. Customs grabbed my shirt, literally, and I ran across a desert island back to the Colombians. Just about got there as well. It was so hot. That Curacao was a desert island, so it was terrible. But I ended up having to stay with a Colombian family for about 3 months before I got the passport back. And got it back, came back, went back to England to pick up some cannabis, and the cocaine thing was coming through a different way. And the police had got undercover teams into it, and we got nicked anyway, put it that way.
I want to roll back a little bit. When you were on that island, you were about to jump on a plane, were you?
Yeah, in the airport.
In the airport. What did you clock? Talk me through your feelings of what happened that day to go, oh my, they're on top of me.
Well, one of the couriers who was going back, so as you're going through, it's only a small airport, you see everything.
So you putting him on the plane, like making sure he's
just making him sure it's there. And they turned and came, seen me. I don't know how, but they must have had information because they grabbed him more or less straight away. So as I trying to get out, then I just felt something coming behind me, and I just ran. And he did grab my shirt, but he didn't grab it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just ran out of the airport and managed to get away.
And how did you get away?
Just kept running right across the fields and everything. Yeah. We went in a taxi. So.
And then from there, what do you think? Well, I need to get myself to Colombia and out of this country now.
Well, no, I went back to Holland then after that.
Okay.
After I got the passport. But I picked up a lot of contacts, obviously, while I was there with all these Colombians and what have you. And then, so I got caught in 91.
Where did you get caught?
In England. Unfortunately, Birch service station in Manchester. So they've been on, because they was involved in it, so they knew exactly when it was coming in.
Yeah.
But I was there just to pick the cannabis, well, not to pick the cannabis, but to guide the cannabis people to where we wanted it dropping off, and got busted anyway. In the end, after 18 months of sentence on remand, we got to had to be moved then. We got found guilty, got sent to Strangeways, back to Strangeways, which is the main Manchester prison, awaiting sentence, and then they moved us to a prison called Risley, to stay there for a few months. And then the transport came to pick us up to take us for sentencing for the thing you didn't know what was getting at the time.
Yeah.
I was expecting about 11, actually. That's what was going on at the time. But it was at the time when the government decided to more or less double prison sentences. Everything went mad. But yeah, so we got on the coach, because in those days it was a coach, an old coach
with old Bill following cars and stuff.
No police at all. Just the prison staff used to take you to court.
Okay.
Because really, I was just in a normal prison. It was 6.3 kilo cocaine and 40 kilo cannabis.
And that's what they're doing you for. And you thought you were going to get 11 years for that?
Around that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And but then we started hearing people had been to court and they were getting 20 years and 10 years for nothing, really. Yeah. It just went ridiculous. So I decided that I was going to escape. So all that was arranged. And one bloke in a car literally waited for the coach to come out. The day was the 1st of April, 1993. April Fool's Day. Yeah. All morning. Normally, you go to court in the morning. That's it, finished. You don't really get them in the afternoon. And then in the afternoon came round. I thought, they've cancelled or something, they've been put off. And then they came after dinner, which was a bit of a shock. So I've gone down all the way through this sort of thing. I've been handcuffed to a certain person, a pretty large black man.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he was part of the thing, and he was the muscle to get me off the coach sort of thing. But for some reason, this massive screw officer came down and shouted him out and handcuffed him to him. And then he shouted me out, and then this other little lad, he was from Newton Heath as well. Mm. And so he was attached to me, so he didn't know anything. And literally walking onto the coach, and I had to tell him, I said, listen, something's going to happen in a minute. And he didn't really know, he just sort of stuttered a little bit. So we got up, I sat next to the window, and I'm thinking now that the driver's outside, he's been outside all morning, which is really hard to sit outside a prison.
Yeah.
And that he was still there, and I had a certain red coat on, so he could recognise it as he came past. And he pulled out, seen him pull out, and we was going forward. And as he pulled up to the roundabout just outside the Risley prison, a police dog van came to the roundabout, ready to go left. So he screeched up in front of the coach, so the coach has to stop, and then it's up to me to get out. So he's pulled up, and as he's pulled up, the police car's pulled up on the roundabout. Mm. And the police car, the copper, as he set off again down the dual carriageway, and as we're coming past in the coach, I've seen the copper shaking his head to the coach driver, and the copper's gone off to the left and gone down on a different part of the road. And a little bit up the road there, he's pulled out in front of him. I jumped up and shouted, nobody move, and nobody moved for a bit. And I dragged this young lad to the front of the coach, pulled the emergency exit, and got off. And by that time, the guards had rallied a little bit. And a couple of them tried to jump out, but I'd already got hold of the car now, so we've got the car in front. I've got hold of it, and they just let go, really. It's not their job to get anything. But no violence, no nothing. Apart from the lad who we dragged with us.
Did he come in the car with you? Yeah,
he came in the car with us, yeah. It was cuffed together. So ended up getting taken to Liverpool, where we had to go. An house was arranged where we get the cuffs cut off. Got to the house in Liverpool, and the people who was there were saying, who the fuck are these?
Yeah.
So I was expecting a big black man and me. In the end, they had two small white men, so it was a bit of a shock. So a lot of phone calls later, and it all got sorted out. Somebody came in that I knew, got it cut off. We got him, took him, dropped him off at the train station. He went home. Well, he went to an hotel, met his girlfriend at the time, got pregnant. She got pregnant that night, and they've got a kid. Yeah. Everything from that night.
Yeah.
And the following day, he handed himself in. And he got not guilty on what he was doing anyway. So, but he didn't get anything for thing because he knew he wasn't part of it. And that was it. I was then put in a flat for about 3-4 months. People coming to feed me every other day and bring me all the stuff that I need. And about 3 months, I think it was about 3 months later, then we got the private plane and flew out to Amsterdam. Literally, that was it. And then, but you know, that was it. Then we started thinking. Then was involved with Curtis Warren then. So I met him in prison.
Where did you meet Curtis?
In Strangeways.
In Strangeways.
Yeah.
Did you know him before? You the
No.
same sort? No, okay.
No. I'd not even heard of him.
Yeah.
I only heard about him when he was in the. I was in the police cells for about 5 months because the Strangeways was shut down, and then they opened it up again after the riots, but it wasn't right, so they ended up having to get a lot of people out. I did about 5 months in the police cells, travelling around different thingies. Somebody told me about him in there, and then within a few weeks I was back in Strangeways, and he was on the landing that I was on. But he was Cat A, and I was on the wing. But I'd been in Strangeways a few times. I'd also had a business in the area as well, so I knew a lot of the guards. I knew where they lived and everything, so I used to get a bit of special treatment of them. And Curtis was Cat A at the time, and he used to get him. Normally, nobody goes near Cat A's. You can't go in the cell or anything. But we used to get the cell open and play chess, me and Curtis, for a bit.
What's Curtis Warren like?
Same as me.
Yeah.
Nice and calm and thingy. Maybe not now. He's done 27 years in prison.
When did he come out?
Last year.
Last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he's on that public protection order. He's just been back in again for that, hasn't he?
For what? Explain what that actually means. So he's got out after 27 years.
After 27 years. Well, he got out for 5 weeks in between when they left him from Holland. When he got released from his prison sentence in Holland, he got out. And about 5 weeks later, they're back in again for trying to import cannabis into Jersey, which I don't know anything about, but I can't see it.
Yeah.
Can't see it. Set up again by the looks of it. He ended up getting another 13 years on top after he'd just done 40. Well, he got 12, and then he killed someone in prison, got another 4 years on top for that. Got 4 years on top for organising crime in prison, but that got dropped. So he ended up 27 years, minus 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And he's been hounded ever since. They're still hounding him now. Just been back up in court again, got a suspended sentence for breaching his community order, which is, I think he's one of the first for it to be put on. He's only allowed a certain amount of money, can only have one phone, and he's got to tell the police whoever he's meeting, he can't get in a car. We're thinking, I was on it a bit for when I got out, similar type thing. But his life's completely restricted, and he breached a lot of them all at once, apparently, because he had sex with a prison guard in Franklin. And then he got caught at her house when he got out, I think, something like that.
So they put him back in now?
No, he got a suspended sentence.
Suspended sentence, okay.
Because I don't think the judges are. I don't think they're up with it themselves. This public protection order, because it's Dickensian, really. You know, he's taking the law system back 100 years, doing things like that, controlling people like that. So really, when you finish your sentence, you should be finished.
Yeah.
I mean, you still got parole. You know what I mean? The same as me. But he refused parole and did his whole sentence. But then they put this community order on, which lasts for 5 years. And I think after that he's completely free, but he's not allowed to travel. He's not allowed to create a business. Can only have one phone. I think he can only have £1,000. And that has to include his car. So obviously he can't even buy a car. He's got people to help him, but again, you won't have many people wanting to help him because of his position, you know what I mean? Nobody's going to say, I'll give you the car, and then the police are going to be looking at them.
Yeah.
So it's a very clever way to keep you away from loads of people. So I suppose, it's suffering a bit from that. But
have you hooked up with him since you come out?
No, he can't come near me.
No, okay.
No, he won't be allowed.
When's the last time you saw Curtis?
Seen him once in between in the Dutch prison. Was in a triple Cat A prison there.
Who was?
Me and Curtis. We'll come to that though.
Yeah.
When I escaped, then I went back over to Holland, and that was when I flew over. And then he was on trial for a 1,000 kilo, and that case collapsed. So once it collapsed, we hooked up a little bit, and I started working from Holland and supplying loads of people, including Curtis. I used to send loads of stuff. But,
so you were with him in Strangeways.
Yeah.
And then when you got out of Strangeways, Is that when you two got together and started doing business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once his case collapsed.
Yeah.
See, when I escaped, they moved him immediately. All panic stations was on.
Yeah.
Because they thought he was involved in my escape,
Yeah.
which he had nothing to do with. We'd only met in prison, you know. There's nothing. We had no contacts between us or anything really. But when I escaped, it was a few months afterwards that the case collapsed, and then got in touch, and everything kicked off again from there.
Mm.
And we was just sort of, well, mostly I was in Holland just, what do you call it? I used to like to think of myself as an escrow businessman. You know, people would want to buy stuff, and I'd organise the money would come to me, and the drugs would come to me, all separate obviously,
Yeah.
and then we'd release them. And then we started working all over Europe really, sending it, buying cocaine and just moving it about or getting it given to us, because of the people that I knew and the people that he knew between us. We knew quite a lot of Colombians. And at that time, the Colombians were just sort of coming into Europe. They didn't have any control or anything. And the people we knew, the people I knew, knew how to get it in, but didn't have anywhere to put it, didn't have anywhere to sell it. But I had all the contacts in Holland. And, you know, they'd come up and drop off 500 kilo, 1,000 kilo, 2,000 kilo. The biggest was 3,000.
3,000 kilo. How much would that have been worth back then?
Millions. Hundreds of millions altogether. Yeah, it was worth a lot of money.
What's the most amount of dough you've had in your hands at one time or around you at one time?
A room this big full of bin bags. With the highest dominions of money that you can get. But about 3 Colombians with machine guns stood at the door as well. That was their money going back.
Yeah. Tell me how it worked. Tell me if there were the language barrier. Tell me how they got trust in you, how you had trust in them. Tell me about the feelings that you're going to go to the Colombians, work with the Colombians, that they can just pull a trigger at any time.
Well, something did happen like that, actually. So after we'd been working for a bit, I then decided to go to Colombia. Between us, we organised something to go meet the people who was involved with Curtis before. And I'd been backwards and forwards a few times, but then I got arranged to meet the head of the Cali cartel. But I didn't realise it was a bit of an ambush for me. So I'd gone over with a Colombian who spoke perfect English and translated for us. And more or less, once we got up into the boardroom, we sat there, and there was about quite a few, 6 ones all suited up, looking immaculate. And the first thing they said was, what happened to the 3,000 kilo? Because they'd sent over 1,000 to Curtis and 2,000 to Europe. And really, that was the last I heard of it. And then all of a sudden, they've got a ginger, I had hair then.
Yeah.
a ginger man stood in front of them, who and they didn't know, so they started asking me questions about where it was, what happened to it.
Did you know before going in there that they're going to be on your case?
No.
So it threw you, did it?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And but luckily I had a trail.
Yeah.
So they could, they was in and out making phone calls to people back in Holland or England, wherever they had the contacts. And I was saying that I was in prison, blah, 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 this, and then they was going out, checking it, coming back saying, yeah, okay, all right. And then in the end, it was all sorted out. And then Lucho just said, right, well, what are we doing next? And that was it. We started to do a bit of importing and exporting.
How old roughly were you at that time?
Out
in Colombia then?
36 or something.
Okay.
38. Yeah, 38.
So you built up all these contacts. Now you've got the main contact, one of the main contacts in Colombia.
The main contact.
The main.
Cali, the head of Cali cartel.
The head of Cali.
Yeah.
Wow. What was that like for an experience for you? Because you can't go and carry, you can't protect yourself. You just go in there like, this is who I am. I've got all the contacts. I can make it work. Let's create a win-win situation. We're away. Did they buy into that straight away, or there was a bit of distrust there? Or
there's distrust straight away as soon as we walked in. I didn't realise it, but soon dispelled that distrust just by telling the truth.
Yeah.
You know, if I would have had a shit story, I don't think it would have come out of there, nor would have the translator, because that's what he said afterwards as well. So you don't know how lucky we are coming out of that room.
Yeah.
Which was, I suppose, true, but I noticed it at the time, and I knew it was a bit hot. I had a few little thoughts going through my head, how am I going to get out of here if it goes sour, but I don't think there was a way out. It was the top floor of a massive shopping centre. So, and they had people on the front door downstairs and everywhere, because this was the boss on it. But he invited us up to his ranch in a place called Pareda. Went up there. Everywhere we went after that was military police. All the time was 2 cars in front, 2 behind. We was in the middle. Went to the ranch, massive ranch, had about 10 mansions. I moved into one of them, like about 10 bedrooms and, that type of thing. But he had them built all the way around a massive full-size bull ring made out of stone, really. Spent a lot of money on it. And he also had, this is where a bit of a story came out about me, where he had a chimp, full-size chimp, and a tiger. The tiger was roaming about and the chimp jumped on me, and it was fucking massive, full-blown. Terrified me, honestly. I had to get back in the car and say, listen, get out of the way, else I'm not coming out. So they put it all away, and we had a big party and everything. And all the helicopters was coming and killed a few bulls, and they brought matadors over from Spain and costing 20, 30 grand a pop or something for one night's work, and big time in those 1991s. We just got together, just carried on, and that was it. Organised a transport, organised a few things, but organised this transport, and it got nicked. I came back, I got nicked in Holland in, 96? Yeah, October 96. And took us to a normal prison. Christmas Eve, they came. The prison went quiet, completely quiet all of a sudden. And then they came in, the arrest team came in.
Where were you?
I was in my cell. Sat in my cell. The thing at St John's ambulance had just delivered a parcel for me, a bit of food. Because where I was on like a red card, so you're not allowed, you can only speak to your brief, that was it. You're not allowed to mingle with the prison and all that. So they came Christmas Eve, door opened, armed police, arrest arty team, they have a special team over there for arresting serious criminals. Came in, put me on the floor, stripped me, carried me out face down, took me out into the yard, put a crash helmet on me, ear thingies, ski goggles, bulletproof vest, and a helicopter landed in the prison grounds. And then every time I moved from that point on, I was moved in an helicopter all the time. Curtis was moved by road, by a car. And the reason is that the English police declared to the Dutch government, really, they want the police, it was a Home Office and thingy, said that I escaped from an armed prison transport, which was by police. An armed police prison transport was stopped by an armed criminal gang with rocket launchers and machine guns and freed me. So that was put to the Dutch government. Dutch government heard about it and literally got the military and the police to come and pick me up by helicopters everywhere. But it was a lie. I literally stood up, shouted, nobody move, and I got off the bus. Yeah. That was it, really. No violence, no guard got hurt, no nothing. I mean, the only one was the lad, but he got something out of it anyway. And he just went on, got nicked, put us into a triple Cat A prison.
In Holland?
In Holland, in a place called Vught. It was an AB, which means extra prevailing, extra security institute. And everywhere you went, it was strip searches, closed visits, really thinking nobody escaped. And did 5 years, 4 months there. Flew us from a helicopter from the prison straight to the airport. And at the airport, it was a flying squad, literally, in a RAF jet. Took me back to England to start me 22 years. So that was it. Did that.
I want to roll back a bit. I want to go back to the cartel in Colombia. What sort of party were they throwing for you?
Technically it wasn't for me.
No, not for you, but I'm saying that you were having a party there. What sort of party? Was it a calm party? Was it just like mounds of cocaine and everyone doing it, or not? Or was it?
No.
Not at all. They were just bang on the ball.
There obviously was cocaine there,
yeah.
but the people I was thinking were just pure businessmen.
Yeah, okay.
Immaculate, talking millions and everything was perfect, but it was mad.
Yeah.
People flying in and out because the area must have been thousands of acres. Because he had the thing, he had about 1,000 horses and things like that. It was a proper ranch and, like you say on TV,
yeah.
that sort of thing. When you come up to the gates, it's all gates there, but there's all armed guards there. And as you come down, there's armed guards every 200 metres or something with machine guns because the boss is his boss's guy. But yeah, there's people flying in helicopters and landing in planes, and I jumped in a plane and had a little flyabout as well while I was there. Moved a bit of stuff about while I was over there as well into Venezuela. Yeah, it was.
Is there somewhere where they keep it all? Is there like a space where you go in and go, right, I can see all the cocaine, it's all 100% pure. Could you go and test it? What was, or
no, you never get near it.
You don't get near it, okay.
No, I never did. Got near the cannabis plantations, but they were just wild in the Amazon. They used to just set up a point and just grow it, but it was never any good. We did a bit of work with the cannabis from there, but it was cheap quality. Yeah. But it still sold, still reasonable, but it was full of seeds and it was just grown wild. But the coke, no, you have to accept that. You're going to get the good stuff from there if you go in there, and especially if you're dealing with
the top man.
What
was his name? Who was the top fella there?
It was called Lucho.
Lucho, okay.
Yeah. But you wouldn't know him from Thingy.
Yeah.
His wife was Miss Colombia and, that type of person. Immaculate suits all the time. But he ended up going to a party and he woke up in America. About 5 stories underground, and that's where he is now for the rest of his life.
Wow.
He'll never get out from that. I think he got 999 years or something. But yeah.
Do you know how he got nicked? Why he got nicked?
Yeah, he was always
purely for the cocaine and
just cocaine. Yeah,
okay.
He was sending. I know this because once you don't spend a lot of time with him, and then you get handed down to. Well, I was handed down to a senator, right, who had his own ranch up near Maracaibo, which is at the top part of Colombia, which goes into Venezuela. And first couple of times that I came in, I flew in by plane. The second time was when they knew who I was. So the second plane journey, I landed in Bogota. And then they moved the plane to the back of the thingy without letting anybody off. And then the military police came on the plane and took me off. Took us round the back. And then the next time when I seen Lucho, I said, listen, don't do that again. That just brings attention to me. He said, well, if you want to come in through the back way, you'll have to go through Venezuela and come up through the border control. And then we'll pick it up in between the two borders. So I go that way through Maracaibo, and there's a place called Santa Marta, which is literally the Wild West. Everybody's got a gun. We flew into there once, and on the conveyor belt were just guns. The plane coming out, just guns, machine guns, everything. Yeah, just guns. Taxi drivers pulled up. There was one, when they came, one of them had locked the keys in the car, and they couldn't get in it. These are the Colombian mafia. Couldn't get in the car, and I got a set of keys off another bloke and razzled the key because I was a car thief. So I got them in the car, but that was right outside the airport of Santa Marta. And then from there went to the senator's house, stayed there for a bit, and then went back in and out of Venezuela and Colombia through Maracaibo. We used to just drive up to the thingy. We used to get out of the car that we was in. They'd pick us up in Venezuela, take us to the border, but no passport control, just get in the middle. And then the military police and the special police was there waiting for us, and we'd get out of the car in between, walk in and get in their car, and then take us into Colombia around the back way.
Can you remember what deal, the first time you met him, give me an example of the deal you would cut with him, saying, listen, I've got the contacts, I can take it to Europe, I've got everything you need to distribute it, but I want to buy X amount of keys off you. Yeah,
there's no buying involved. The deals, you have to make sure the deal's right at the beginning, because you're not in a business where you can make a mistake.
Yeah.
So the first deal was a tester, which was 420 kilo.
As a tester?
As a tester, yeah. And then half of it was theirs and half of it was ours. And then we'd sell theirs at a certain price, which I think at the time we was offering 15 to them. Yeah, it was 15. And we were selling it for 17, 18, making a couple of grand for our costs and what have you. And yeah, that's what they get half of theirs at 15 grand.
Yeah.
And we'd send it back to them. That was the deal. But you should never go to Colombia and give them money.
No.
Yeah, I don't think you see it again.
Yeah. How would you get the dough? How would you get the dough back to them? What's the fear factor like, knowing that you've got 420 keys bought back, you got 210 keys for them, you got to flog that, you're going to earn a couple of G's off each one of those ones, collect the money up, and how are you getting the money back?
Just drop it off at an house in Rotterdam. That was it for us. Bang,
Rotterdam, someone pick it up and let them deal with it then.
They deal with it.
How do you know that Lucio knows that you've been a man of your word by dropping it? Do you send a photo? I mean, what's the communication?
No, they tell him.
Straight away as it's done. Yeah. So as you've left, are you thinking no one can stitch you up here?
No.
Not at all?
No.
So once you dropped, you got all the money's there?
Yeah, the people who are there at the houses, they're trusted people by Lucio.
Okay.
It wouldn't be mugs there, you know. There'd only be people who say, but they never counted it.
No.
Just a bin bags full. Just throw it at them and that was it. You don't sit there counting it, just throw it with the rest of them.
Yeah.
Because there's so much.
Because there's so much. I was about to say there's so much of it. It'd be ridiculous. Yeah. And there was no counting machines back then. Imagine going through that with a hand.
Yeah.
Take you days, weeks.
Well, it did.
Yeah.
We used to get, when I used to get suitcases coming from anywhere, from England even, we used to get 4 suitcases full of money. It'd be 2 or 3 days counting it because there's no counting. We did get a counting machine in the end, but at the beginning, you know, you sit there and you're peeling out and you can tell which area the money's come from. You know, the poorer areas, you're getting loads of 5s.
Yeah.
the rest, you're getting 10s, 20s and 50s. But
give me an example of the amount of cocaine you were bringing in at your peak.
Well, that was, it wasn't us bringing it in, it was me moving it about.
Moving it.
It was already in. We did a few things.
But you must have been the main face that they go, we trust him from Holland, then you're distributing it from there.
Yeah.
So would the cocaine land at someone's house?
Well, it depends. There's a couple of ways that it was being brought in. One of them was being brought in underneath the ships.
With a magnetic
thing. Okay. So there'd be about 300 or 400 kilos coming in that way. Then the rest was just normal transport, containers, nothing else. And then obviously now and again we'd do a little boat. So a boat would have a few 100 kilo on it and hopefully get through, but that was always a disaster. You know, I spent about 6 months on Isla de Margarita in Venezuela. And we must have arranged about 6 times for it to be dropped in the middle of the ocean to be picked up, and always failed and burst open, or it didn't arrive, or they missed the thing. It was a nightmare.
Well, so they would fly over, drop the cocaine down
into the ocean. Yeah.
Massive parcels. You get the boat out, try to sweep it up.
Get a boat.
Is that the one of your drugs where you think, mate, that's a ball lake?
It's a ball lake. It's a kamikaze. It's terrible. Okay. So much could go wrong. Yeah. And on one occasion, we did send a boat out into the middle of nowhere, and they ended up going back to Curacao, and in the boat, because it never happened.
What country is that?
That's Dutch Antilles.
That's it. Okay.
Just off the coast of Venezuela.
Yeah.
So instead of them coming back into Venezuela, they went straight onto Curacao. And as they pulled into Curacao, the American frigates pulled up, more or less straight away, and said, listen, we've been watching you for a couple of days. Right? And they searched the boat and everything. And had that been picked up, obviously, that would have been a bit of a disaster. And they had to let them go and just say, we know what you're doing, but there's nothing we can do about it. But it was interesting waiting to see the locations and getting all the coordinates in line, but it was a disaster.
That must have been bloody. We're talking the 90s here.
Yeah.
There wasn't like Google Maps, and there was nothing like that. So it must have been dropped. Go and pick up.
It was all personal.
Were you literally searching around looking for the parcel in the sea?
No, you still had the satellites for the GPS and all that, so they knew the location.
It was a rough location, wasn't it?
More or less, yeah.
Okay.
I think it was within about a mile or something at the time. It wasn't accurate that much. But it never really worked. It did work a couple of times, but it wasn't worth the stress and the organisation, it's better just putting it in a container and sending it home. But that's the best way to do it.
I was so blasé with it. Why whack a container, hopefully it comes through. Give an example of cocaine coming through in containers.
Well,
from where, on the big ships, how it gets through. What's the biggest fear factor? It's okay coming that end. Is the biggest fear factor this end?
Yeah.
Like coming in, would you go straight in to Holland? Would you ever go straight into Dover? Have you tried anywhere in the UK, or did you not?
No, I didn't try it. Didn't do England with containers.
No, okay.
Europe, because Holland, really, obviously that's where we got caught. Holland, but it was, this one was just transit into Holland. It wasn't supposed to come off there, but they'd got information again. And it was supposed to go to Bulgaria.
Okay.
We had the, I don't like to say, but the Russian mafia was taking it off that end. And they was transporting it up to Holland for us to sell. That's how it should have gone. But it got intercepted, and that's when they came for us with the grenades when they came through the house and all that. You know, the usual flashbang that you see on TV.
Mm.
Took the windows out. I was living in a farm in the middle of nowhere.
Whereabouts?
Just on the outskirts of Rotterdam.
Yeah.
Called IJssel on the Rhine. Nice big farm, beautiful place, but I had a girl living with us, and I had a big dog, big mastiff, and it was started barking because they was walking. The up to the house was all gravel. She got up and went to let the dog out the back. Like I said, it was on a big farm, but just outside the back door was like a river thing, and as she's opened the door, the police was already there, crouched down. They grabbed her and dragged her out, got the dog out, and then all the flashbangs went off, came in, got me, took me out and naked, and put me in a car and put the feet on me, and I was in the back of the police car, and the police car, BMW, and they was all sat on. But it's special squads over there. It's not like the English.
When you were, how many years do you reckon you're at it for with the Colombians?
Only about 3 or 4 years, really.
Years, okay.
Yeah.
And then did you find it easy to use that cash to go and buy properties and buy everything, cars and
No, it was still hard back then. I never settled it because I was on the run now when I was doing this with the Colombians. Yeah, because I was wanted for the 22 years. Yeah. Because 22 years was given in my absence because obviously I escaped the day before. Yeah. And obviously the judge wasn't happy. I think he added time on top because he escaped as well straight away. But it was weird times. It was different because I was in more control there than the Colombians was in Europe. Didn't take them long, only a couple of years, and then they had all the people there. All the big hitters was there, and they had all the places, and they could sell it themselves really. So people in the end was not buying it off people like me anymore. They're buying it straight from the Colombians.
Yeah, okay.
So,
did that cause any ag for you?
No.
Any problems? Did any problems arise with that getting older?
I was in prison.
Patch. No, but before that, before you were at the farm, you're thinking I'm on the run. I've been on the run for 3-4 years. I mean, back and forth to Colombia. Were you ever thinking the old Bill in England are going to talk to the Dutch old Bill and then something's going to come on top?
Oh, yeah. I moved house 13 times in 3 years.
Did you?
Yeah. Moved house so often. Just see a car go past and that was it. I was gone.
Were you using at the time as well?
No, I never used.
So you never used?
No. Didn't even drink. Still don't drink.
So it's pure business, pure numbers, pure cash.
Yeah.
Not even for the party. Okay.
Kurt's the same.
Yeah.
We didn't drink. We restricted people from who was working with us. They couldn't take drugs and drink as well. Because we've had a few disasters like that where people have...
mouthed off, maybe.
Well, no, supposed to be somewhere, but wasn't there for when the drop-off came, and they're in a pub somewhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's not a good thing, that, especially when people are dropping 200 kilo cocaine up in the middle of Panama or something. And somebody's gone away.
Someone's on the piss in the boozer.
Yeah. Yeah. That leads to a few problems, but they all get sorted out.
Did you used to carry at all with the fear of?
No.
Never at all?
Different times then.
Okay.
The violence wasn't like it ended up.
Yeah.
Nowhere near. It was just deals between people. You know, there was very little violence in Holland. That all came a few years later.
Yeah.
And then obviously there was loads of violence in England.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I never carried nothing.
So it was pure, you had like an entrepreneur's mind of it was just the wrong product, the right product for the money, but the wrong product because it was illegal.
Yeah. And like I say, I was moving it in through Switzerland, Spain, Germany, Belgium, Holland, Luxembourg, everywhere.
And how were you distributed? So it comes to the main place. How would you be distributed? Would you have people driving for you, distributing everywhere?
Yeah. I never moved it, but it was always organised where their people would be at a certain place. The other things, the drugs would be at a different place. And like I said, I was an escrow man.
Yeah.
Just made sure everything was in the right place before it got released. We had our own people guiding it. At some points I did have a Colombian bodyguard, especially when a couple of thousand came in. And, they didn't directly give it to me, but I had control of where it was going. And then they'd go and pick up 200, 300, 400 kilo and move it and take it to the people.
Yeah, okay. So for example, say like 2,000 kilos coming in, roughly what would that have been worth?
Depends on the price, because the price would fluctuate between 12 and 20 grand.
Why? Demand?
Scarcity.
Yeah, demand.
Yeah, depending, supply and demand, like all other things. So, you're talking millions all the time. There was one point where we had dropped off a certain amount of cocaine and we had to pick the money up. But the people who we gave the cocaine to, the money to, we were driving about all weekend with the money. There were a couple of million in the boot.
In the boot?
Yeah. Didn't realise that we're giving the money. And, we had the cocaine and we moved it. But, yeah, they came on Monday. So that's how much trust there was between me and the Colombians. He came on Monday, he says, any chance of getting the money? Sort of thing. Because they was getting a bit of pressure from their people, but didn't realise it was in the boot. But in those days, we had 1,000 Swiss francs and 1,000 guilders.
What, notes?
Notes, yeah. So you could have a briefcase with 5 million in it.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be just a few bundles of money, really. It was a lot easier. But yeah, we've had seen a few 100 million in one point. It wasn't mine, obviously.
Yeah.
I just ended up with bits and bobs out of it, really. People think that you've got, because you've dealt thousands, you've got millions.
Yeah.
But it's not always the case. Sometimes you could sell 1,000 and make 1,000 on each one.
Yeah. So
you'd have 100 grand or, that was it. But it was done without you even touching it.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. That's how it used to be in those days. The trust was there.
The trust was there. I was
it's
about
not
to say.
Anymore.
Yeah, I was about to say it ain't there anymore. Yeah, I agree. What was your relationship like with Curtis when you both were at it?
Not much, really. He was in England. I was in Holland. Little orders had come through. I supply stuff, getting things, but could be doing a few million in one go, or in one day. Get a few kilo from here, different drugs from there, different things. It was never the same. It was every day was different. People would want ecstasy, people would want speed or cannabis or cocaine, or didn't bother with the heroin at the time, so that wasn't affected. It's just like being in any business. Yeah. That's how I treated it. It was just a business. A terrible business, obviously. It wasn't a good business to be in. But because I was on the run, really, I didn't have a choice. I was just trying to get a few mil together and just get away from it all, but never got to that.
Did you know it was going to come on top at one point? You think it's got to?
All the time you're thinking it. All the time thinking it. And like I say, 13 houses in 3 years.
Yeah. That's a lot of moving.
It's a lot of moving.
That's a lot of money. Is that a lot of paranoia as well?
Yeah, you got to be paranoid. You're looking at 22 years without what you're doing already, just for what you owe the English government, I suppose. And paranoid about everything. But I was lucky because we had money straight away. And the sort of places that was able to rent was not the places police was looking at. I was living next door but one to a High Court judge in Holland. Bought his car off him.
And he did?
Didn't know. We had his plate for about 6 months. Because in Holland, the judges have got JR on the plate. And that got me through 2 drugs roadblocks twice, where they was ragging everybody for everything, and we had a lot of money in the car at the time, and he just waved us through. But we had his thing. He kept phoning us every now and again and say, "Have you got my plate off yet?" And
no, mate, no. It's working a treat.
Working a treat. But that was at the time when we was in a place called Laren, which is where the Queen of Holland lives, around those areas. And the bloke that we knew owned the Hilversum airport, so we was sort of jet setting in and out of there, and that's where I learned to fly there. And everything was sort of perfect.
Yeah.
Car, driving about in the car. I had an old Dutch man who was my chauffeur, who was well known by all the police in the area, so they never stopped him anyway. I used to sit in the back, and he used to drive us about, but he used to like to get a bit drunk and drive at 200 mile an hour. That type of geezer, didn't care. I had to tell him a few times to slow down, but that's just the way it is over there.
Was there any point in time where you think that you could have lost your life?
Yeah, loads of times. Loads of times. More times, actually, when I was in prison than actually out. But yeah, the time when we went to Colombia. But then every time you're over there, you can lose your life. There was, when we was in Maracaibo, where they have special roads over there. So on one of the occasions, I was going to Isla de Margarita, but the airport that I was going to was just on the mainland, and we wanted to fly from Venezuela from Colombia to there, and the plane came in on the road and just landed on the road, and we got out, jumped in, got in the car, got in the plane and flew across the border that way. But when we landed, there was greenery on the wheels. We had to be that low.
Right.
That was a bit scary.
Yeah, I bet.
A little bit. But we had a proper jet pilot at the time, so I was a co-pilot. So
how would you explain you in your mid-30s? Because what are you now? You're in your 60s.
66.
How would you
pensioner now, mate.
Pensioner now, yeah. How would you explain you as a character in your mid-30s?
I don't really know. Just as that, as an entrepreneur, I started off when I was 13. We bought the contents of a bike shop and set up in a garage selling bikes at 13, me and my mate. And I suppose from that point, I was always thinking about, even now.
A pound note.
Yeah, about a pound note, deals and things like that,
But you must have been, what character were you though? Were you like a ballsy character in your 30s? Like, bring it on. This is amazing. There's cash everywhere. There's cocaine everywhere. I've got deals with...
No, you'd never notice me.
No, okay.
Yeah, you'd never notice me.
Okay.
I'd walk past you anytime, just like now, walking down the pier, you'd never notice.
Yeah.
Wasn't flashy. Very rarely went out. No such thing as nightclubs and things like that when we was active properly. No drugs taken, clean, sports clubs, saunas, that type of thing. Restaurants, really, that was about it. Never really had flash cars. Used to get certain ones that looked like the judge's car was a 7 Series BM. I think it only had about 3,000 kilometres on the clock when we got it. But respectable looking cars. None of all these flash things. No watches, no nothing. Just normal clothes.
Yeah.
So what happened below?
So what happened then? You got nicked.
Yeah.
They took you straight back to England.
No. Got nicked in Holland.
Oh yeah. How many years you doing that?
Got 7 years. Well, I got 7 years.
And then what, a Cat A in Holland?
Triple Cat A.
Triple Cat A. Okay.
Well, started off on a normal wing, but when they found out about the escape,
which they made up,
well, the escape was real, but
but
the way it happened, they did it deliberately. The reason why that was done was because for the 420 kilo in Holland was just nothing special. It was, I met people in there from a thing called the ERT affair, and they was 22,000 kilo in a container of cocaine, nothing else in it. Well, that was organised by the head of the customs and the head of the police in Holland. It was a big, massive scandal. So we was nothing. So I was on a normal wing, and Curtis was in a normal prison on a normal wing. And then that story that they made up came out, and they did it deliberately, so that would be Triple Cat A.
Yeah.
So we'd literally be incommunicado, because I used to get, you get one phone call for 10 minutes once a week. And the phone call was like this: you put an headphone on a speaker, and it has to go to a person that the MI5 have checked out.
Yeah.
It takes about 6 months to get a phone call, so you'd have to be cleared. They'd literally go to your house to give you permission. They'd go to the people's houses. You just get a 10-minute phone call, but you'd have 2 screws stood here like this, one on each side. Mate, even though there's taping it and all that, they're making sure you didn't say anything. And there was and when you finally did get visits after a couple of years, really, because you had to check everybody, and they did check. They used to go to all my family's house, the MI5 secret people, to clear them and check them out properly, and then they'd allow you to visit. But it was really strict, and still okay though. It was Holland. Still, it's not like being in the.
Is it tougher prisons in Holland or in England, do you think?
Well, the Triple Cat A in Holland was, every time you came out of the cell, you was searched. So you had to take all your shoes off and everything, stand against the wall, and 2 guards would come. You'd never be mixed with any other criminal while the guards was there. It was all separate. Bulletproof glass everywhere, and everywhere had a triple door system. So you went in one door, that door locked, and then you got that other door open, and then you moved in through that. And every visit was a complete strip search. And even when you come off the visit, you got a complete strip search where they used to bend down and look up, and really strict. And then when we got back to England, took us to Whitemore and put us in a Triple Cat A there. And I was in there with Kenny Noye and Mickey Steele and a Turkish lad, but there's only 4 of us there. And we was allowed to mix together, and the guards was there, but there was 20 odd guards or something. They had to have 24 guards before they'd open you up in the morning. So the amount of guards was covered by everything. It was a bit easier in England.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What was Kenny Noye like?
Great. I spent 9 years with Kenny in prison.
Yeah.
Met him since he came out.
Yeah.
Came to one of my shows a bit ago. Did the first interview he's ever done with me.
He did he?
Yeah. Little thingy about me and him talking about the painting that I did of him. The Brinksmat one where he sat on a big pile of gold. But I had to do a deal with him in prison that I wouldn't put it out into the public until he got his parole and everything, because it was a bit controversial, the painting. But so yeah, got him to sign it as well. So yeah, it was good little show that.
So you done. Do you say 5-7 years in Holland, Nick? Yeah. And then you come
5.4 in Holland,
and then what did you do in England?
Holland, did the rest. 16.4. 16 years, 4 months and 22 days. That's what I did.
When you come back to England and they write, you've now got a hit, reality kicks in. What's going through your head? Going, I've got to do 22 years. I'm going to be doing 20 years of my life in prison. Well,
the sentence was 22, and at the time it was 2/3.
Yeah.
And then a few years into the sentence, they came at night time into the prison and put notes under most people's doors and made it half. So I got about 3 years or something off. I just knuckled down and got my degree in there. In prison.
Yeah, in what degree? In what?
In art.
In art, okay.
Yeah, fine art. Got a degree, a BA with honours. Did a lot of studying music. Got a grade 8 in the Royal College of Music Theory. Just studied and went to the gym. Got the world record of prisoners for the bench press in prison.
Yeah.
220 kilo.
220 kilo?
Under competition rules, yeah.
My God.
But I weighed 24 stone at the time.
Right, okay.
24 stone with 17% body fat.
Wow, okay.
I could hardly wipe my own bum, to be honest. That was enormous.
How rife were drugs in the prison when you were there?
Well, in the Triple Cat A, there's none.
Okay.
Because you got no contact with it's all thing. But in the normal prisons, it's everywhere. But what they did, the prison system, and deliberately, there's no way to say it, they made people take piss tests.
Yeah.
And the only thing that would ever show up would be cannabis.
Yeah. What's that, 30 days?
30-ish days. But then you get the other side of it where heroin could be gone out your system the following day.
Right.
Drink loads of water and thingy. So there's more or less encouraging heavier drugs rather than cannabis or something like that. But it was everywhere. People made a lot of money out of selling drugs. You know, there was people used to come in, and certain people would like to take drugs. A lot of them was heroin addicts, and they'd get supplied whatever they want as long as they had money.
Yeah.
You know, we had that American who killed the copper. Forgot his name. What was he called? Him who killed the policeman, the American.
Oh.
Wanted for murder in America. He came over, killed somebody, a bodybuilder and everything, and gave himself up in a hotel up north. And within a few weeks of him being in there, he was smackered.
Right.
You know, he had a big gym and everything, bodybuilder and thing. He was on my wing, and somebody from another wing said he'd been approached and asked me permission if he could sell him heroin on my wing. Well, nothing to do with me, mate. You know what you want. I wasn't dealing drugs in prison at all because I was being watched all the time. I was double Cat A then as well. So they used to move us out quite often every 2 weeks then. I think you want, double Cat A.
How many prisons have you been to?
Just them. Holland, Whitemore, and Full Sutton. And then they ended up in Loudon Grange as Cat B.
Okay.
And they released me from there.
What was that feeling like going from triple Cat A to double Cat A in England, then going, right, I've gone to Cat B? Is it like, this is luxury now, or is it not luxury? Is the wrong word, but is it a massive difference to go, okay, well, this is a lot nicer?
No, it's a lot worse. You're better off at triple Cat A.
Because no one can come near you.
No, it's controlled, isn't it? Completely controlled. It's all calm. It's all quiet. As soon as you get on the wing, it's mayhem.
Right.
And I mean mayhem in some of the prisons. It's terrible. I've seen a couple of people killed in prison.
Have you? In front of your own eyes?
Yeah. An old man, Dr. Noye, he's called. He used to supply drugs to older people and used to steal the pensions off them and all that sort of thing. But he'd been in years. And I met Donald Nielsen in there. Used to cut his hair, done a painting of him as well. Just at the end of his life, more or less, when he got motor neurons disease.
Did you know what you were doing at the time in terms of what the effect you could have on bringing this amount of cocaine into people, addiction, etc., etc.? Did that go through your head at all?
Yeah, not so much at the time because I was based in Holland and it was normal over there. Everybody was taking it. It was not seen as the deadly drug that it became. Yeah. It was more of a party thing over there. Nobody was bothered about it. And like I say, if you got caught, you didn't really get much sentence-wise. More or less legal. Anybody who was caught with personal stuff, they just used to take it off.
What year did you come out of Nick?
2012.
2012.
Yeah.
What was that feeling like knowing you were away for all of those years when you come out and gone, my God, the world's changed that year? Was it a shock to you?
Yeah, it was a terrible shock.
Yeah.
I felt like I'd drifted into a new dimension or something. Everything had changed. Especially women. Women had changed. They'd become men and men had become women. You know, in my mind, you know, it was such a change.
Yeah.
Even in my own family, you know, I'd go round and my nieces and nephews and the girls was more into football than the lads. It had been a total change. And then because I had to do 11 years of probation as well. So I used to go to probation every week, and that sort of kept you in line and made sure that, you know, you keeping straight as you can. I was straight all the way through. I didn't get any, always there on time and made sure of all that. I used to dream about, as it was coming towards the end, missing my probation appointments and getting put back in prison for it. Yeah. And then when I was out, I was dreaming that I was still inside for a bit. So your mind's all over the place. It takes a long time to resettle. Yeah. But I was lucky because I had a big family and I've got loads of friends around me who I've known from school days, you know, primary school days, I'm talking. So I had a lot of help. Plus I had my paintings. When I came out of Loudon Grange, I had about 30 paintings ready for sale and sold quite a few. Sold them to Vivienne Westwood, and quite a lot of famous people. Timpson's, it's in the director's place. So, there's quite a few bigger people who bought me paintings, and did 2 for Vivienne Westwood, actually. She didn't get the second one.
And the theme of your paintings?
Experimental, I suppose. Now, when I first came out, I had the opportunity to got a studio, and one of my friends gave me the room over a big pub. So I spread out my studio and started doing dipping, hydrographics and stuff like that with background hydroponics.
Hydroponics, yes.
We'll come on to that in a minute. But experimental stuff. But then now I don't do anything unless it's oil painting.
Yeah.
Done in the old style.
Yeah.
So I create my own canvases.
You've definitely got a good talent.
Yeah, well, it's practice, isn't it?
Yeah. You've had plenty of years to practice painting, right?
Painting.
That must have been good for the mind.
Fantastic. That's what got me through prison.
I was going to say, if you weren't into painting, what are you going to do? Like sit there, read, look at the walls, I don't know how the other people got through it. Yeah, I hear you.
If I wasn't painting, I was learning the guitar.
Yeah.
If I wasn't learning the guitar, I was studying music theatre, and then loads of other things. Yeah. Everything was about studying.
Tell me about your world today. You've been out now for 12 years.
Yeah.
What's your world today? What's the business model you got in your mind at the moment you think could be a goer?
Well, we've just finished a documentary. So we've got a documentary. It's going to be out in the next few days. That's why I wanted to do this with you, really. In the next few days, we're going to release a complete documentary explaining the legal status of cannabis in this country, and the ability for people to be able to, instead of doing it illegally, do it legally. That's what we're going to be pushing over the next few months. We're going to show people how to do it, tell them what the law is about it, how to apply for their licenses to do it.
To grow cannabis.
To grow cannabis, okay. And to sell it.
All legal.
All legal, everything legal. I can't do anything illegal anymore.
Yeah.
If I ever got a prison sentence, this is a death sentence for me now at this age. How to do it all completely legal. Great if you've got money. We're going to show a couple of companies that are already doing it and are making millions from it. You can supply it directly. If you as a person now in this country wanted to get cannabis delivered to your door, you can do legally.
As of today, so someone today could...
Well, from 2018. 2017, 18.
How do you get cannabis legally sent to your door today?
You have to apply to certain companies. So if you go on the internet and you find there's quite a few companies, you phone them up, literally phone them up. You make an appointment to speak to a doctor. Their doctor will tell you if your illness makes you eligible for having cannabis or CBD cannabis. And if he says yes, he will then phone your doctor, confirm your illness, and literally within days it'll be delivered to your front door.
Yeah.
Cannabis bud, THC, cannabis bud.
Yeah.
You get the oils delivered, the edibles, everything. All the creams with THC in it, 30% THC upwards, and
So if you're going to set up a business in this, and it's legal, and the government can earn all the taxes off it.
Yeah.
And that tax can get pumped in to give us better hospitals, get a bit of everything.
Well, I've done a lot of studying about what the percentages are. At the moment, the British police spend about 500 mil policing for cannabis alone. Right. Then you need about the same amount for keeping people in prison. So it's costing maybe $1 billion.
$1 billion a year. Okay.
Just to keep people away from illegal products all over the world.
Yeah.
The potential is up to about 7 billion, the market. At the moment, the legal market that's already exists is taking 3-odd billion. And then you've got the illegal market, which nobody technically knows, but it's about the same.
Yeah.
Illegal. So you put the two together, you're over 7 billion potential earnings for the government. So whatever the tax on that would be, it'd be quite a few quid. And it won't be
even if it was at 40%.
Yeah, it'd be good money.
Yeah.
There's a few hospitals there, mate, that could be built.
Yeah.
Just from cannabis that's being released, like I say, all over Europe. And, you've got to think about the law, and people have got to look at it in a way that most laws in this country are built on what harm it does to somebody. So people are still going to prison now for cannabis. And the law that stands on that is that it's going to do harm. But then you've got legal companies like JW Pharmaceuticals, who Theresa May's husband owned.
Yeah.
And he bought that for about 40 million and sold it last year for 7.2 billion. And that's cannabis, THC, medical cannabis. Yeah. And that's
based down here in England, down in Kent.
Yeah, over that way.
That way. Okay.
Yeah. And that's a massive place. We in our documentary, we went down and filmed it. And it's like 72 football pitches of cannabis.
All hydroponics, just Jesus.
Yeah. They bought it from British Sugar. British Sugar was growing tomatoes at the time, and they literally overnight bought it, chopped all the tomatoes down, and replaced it with cannabis. And ever since then, they built up a business, and a great business as well. They've invented 2 drugs. Like I say, one of them is Sativax, which is for people with Parkinson's, and I think the content of that is 50% CBD, 50% THC, and it literally stops people from shaking.
Yeah.
My mum had Parkinson's. It was a terrible disease. She died of it in the end. Yeah. And
So they put in 50% tetrahydrocannabinol in there.
And that gives a good balance.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I don't know, people, in the past you used to get Sensimilia and drugs like that from Jamaica and whatever. But the reason why that was so good is because it didn't have the balance of CBD and THC gave you a more subtle high sort of thing. It wasn't as extreme as the skunk that everybody's having now, which is all THC mainly, very little CBD. And, it's a different world now.
So are you seeing this as a business model that is the way forward?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I say, we've just done all the filming.
What's the documentary called?
The Flower of Life.
The Flower of Life.
Yeah. There's a t-shirt.
Yeah.
There's one of my paintings there with it on.
Yeah.
But
nice,
the Flower of Life was the first, I don't know if you know about it, but the first pattern that was created 6,000 years ago, and it's symmetrical circles going round, and then you get the flower in the middle. It's an ancient thing, but it's also cannabis is the flower of life, really, because it does so much good. Like I was saying, it's not curing Parkinson's, but it's stopping people having shaking within seconds. And the other one, I think, that they do is for people who are having seizures and things like that. And I'm sure there's going to be loads of, it's great for helping you to sleep, pain relief.
There's loads of benefits.
Loads of benefits.
Absolutely.
It definitely is a flower of life. It's thingy. But what we're going to do, we're going to show the full process of it. It's complex to get the license. Every year, the government are trying to bring it down so it's not as complex. Yeah. I don't think the government are standing in your way, but you've got to jump through loads of hoops. Okay. Right. And you've got to have proper people about. You've got to prove that you're able to do what you're going to be doing. So you need a premises. You need the license. Technically, at the moment, what you have to do, you have to get the premises first, kit it out, secure it, and then maybe a year later you might get the license to grow it. So you've got to have a lot of money at the moment. But they're sort of easing it off where you can get the premises and then start producing a little bit, and then eventually you get your license if you prove yourself.
How much dough do you reckon you could earn if this was set up? Let's not talk 72 footy pitches, because that's enormous. That's proper money. That's ridiculous. But just say if you had a nice sized warehouse, and you invested £500,000 into it, what sort of money could you pull out of it, do you reckon? Say you invested £1 million, what could you pull out?
You could have your money back in 2 crops.
And a crop will take how long?
3 months.
3 months, yeah. Mate, that sounds
quick.
That sounds really quick.
Yeah. But you've got to be able to know what you're doing.
It. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I get it.
So now we've when I say we, it's like a little corporation that we've got now. So we've got a doctor, we've got a chemist, we've got horticulturists, we've got lawyers, we've got people who know the game anyway from the past. Yeah. And we'll be up and running, or the companies will be up and running. I'm more or less organising it and telling people how to do it, really. And then I'm going to take them through the legal side of it. But we've now employed a legal solicitor who who's already got people licenses. So obviously it's not going to be cheap.
Yeah.
But it's going to be done correctly.
Yeah, but you've got the business model.
We've got the business model set up. We've also got the after effects of it. So we're going to do the podcast soon, but like not like a podcast this way. You're asking me questions about my past. We're going to be doing a podcast with a horticulturist. Show them how to do it.
Brilliant.
Going to show them how to electricians to come on and show them how to set the system up, because it's, as you know, there's house fires everywhere and things like that if they do it wrong. And going to have plumbers on to show you how to do the hydroponic systems and everything. We're going to have lawyers on to tell the people how to do it, what's the process, what they're going to need. But then so that's for people who've got loads of dough.
Yeah.
But then what we're going to do, we're going to introduce different things where you can literally start in your bedroom, a bedroom in a house, but not growing cannabis, growing other products. We won't say what the products are, but we're going to show them how to grow these things, and that they're going to make a few grand a week if they want it. But they could start with a couple of £100. You know, it's going to be interesting documentaries, documentaries really.
Yeah.
Once we release this first one and show them the overall plan of what you need to do and how you need to control it. But then once we've done that, we're going to show different stages. You know, we're going to show that one where you can just go, right, I've got $500,000 or I've got $1 million. We can do it straight away and get it all running. But it's still going to take you time to get your licenses and things like that. You need insurance as well. And lots of complicated things, but not that complicated.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about doing it illegally.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to do an illegal grow, technically what you're doing is that you're committing yourself straight away to a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Conspiracy to grow cannabis carries 14 years.
Is that what it is? 14?
Yeah, 14 years. You can still get it now. Someone like me, if I started growing with my record, I'd 100% get 14 years. He wouldn't even hesitate. It'd just be straight 14 years. But if someone who's cleanish started doing it, might only get 6 months, depending on the size.
I like the bit you said ish then.
Yeah. No, 14 years is the maximum you can get. But, you know, somebody who's never got a criminal record, they'd get maybe 6 months for doing a reasonable size. But if you're doing a big one, you're going to get a good few years. But then you also got to think about, there's new laws now that have come out, one called the Unexplained Wealth Order. And that means that the police don't need to get a criminal charge on you anymore. You can literally knock on your door, give you an envelope and say, fill that in. And you have to fill in everything you've ever spent. Everything. Because if they find anything that's wrong, you could lose everything. They only need to go to a civil court to get the order for it.
Right.
So they don't need to prosecute. So then you need to think about that in the background, that could happen to you all the time. But then just getting a premises, an illegal premises, you've got to have a false passport, false driving license, false everything, electric, rates, rent, everything's got to be, it's a job. It's a proper effort to get people to rent your premises they're thinking that you're doing something legal.
Yeah.
So then you've got to have a legal business at the front of it to cover it up for the landlord even.
Yeah.
And then you've got the possibility of the rates people coming around at any time and looking into it. Whereas if you do it the other way, you just go to an estate agent, rent a premises, set up your premises.
And away you go.
Yeah, and you can use professional people. You can use a horticulturist instead of a bloke you met down the pub.
Yeah.
You know, like Boris Johnson or something like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Mate, it sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to hear that this is legal.
Legal. It's been legal since 2017.
17, yeah.
But the reason why everybody doesn't know about it is because technically the doctors bottled it.
Yeah.
You know, the government said, it can be legal for medical purposes. And then the doctor said, oh, well, it's never been empirically tested and we've got no proper data on it. And that. But everybody knows it does you good. Even doctors know it does you good, but they can't give it out. So what they've done is that they sort of passed it on, and these companies have found like a legal loophole as such, not illegal in any way, but they found a loophole where they can become a pharmacy sort of thing and just sell cannabis to people. So you need to then, you know, if you want me, well, not me personally, but if you want cannabis delivered to your door, you can literally just phone them up and get it delivered. Legal cannabis done correctly. You know, it's not got all sorts of mad chemicals in it. You know, you can get organic stuff and everything. They cover
And it's legit, and the government going to earn the taxes.
Yeah. And even you can get a can card, a cannabis card, and you can carry 30 grams about with you. You know, of cannabis. The police stop you. You've got your can card. Some police forces don't accept the can card, but a lot of them do now.
Yeah.
And it's legal because it's been prescribed for a medical problem, and we know that it cures a lot of medical problems.
Yeah. Steve, this is fascinating.
Yeah, just keep watching, mate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what? What an eventful life you've lived.
It's just starting.
It's starting.
Just getting going at the moment.
Mate, I can see it. I can see it in your eyes, man.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people who believe in what we're doing at the moment.
Well, as soon as you mentioned it before we come in straight away, I was like, wow, okay, I get it. Yeah, I get it. Steve, I've thoroughly enjoyed this chat.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, you're a gentleman. Thanks for making the effort.
Here, actually.
Yeah, good man.
That hotel's nice.
Nice one at the Nicky. Give them a shout out.
Give them a shout out, yeah.
Good man.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Dave.
Bye.
Cheers for that. Hi, guys. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Can you do us a favour and subscribe to the channel? It's totally free and it massively helps our show. Cheers, guys.